Hello, welcome to Resources and Strategies for Recruiting and Hiring People with Disabilities. My name is Georgianne Maziarka, and my graduate assistant, Linnea Cochran, will be part of the presentation, as well as another student employee, Sandra Brown. So talking points today. We are Employment Connections. It's a program that we started under the Center for Students with Disabilities, which is now under Center for Inclusive Transition Education and Employment at UW-Whitewater. They do a number of grants. And then we're going to talk about statistics, benefits of hiring individuals with disabilities, resources for recruiting, strategies and best practices, and we'll provide you some resources. So, Employment Connections. We are a provider for the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation in Wisconsin in 2 workforce development areas. So we work with some of our students that might be DVR consumers, as well as people in the community. So we've been working with a lot of high school students. We probably currently have 38 consumers. And then Employment Connections also works with students with the Center for Students with Disabilities. So our student side is we do a little bit more than what Career and Leadership might do with students, is we'll sit down directly with students and help them create their resume and such. And then, as I said, we fall under the Center for Inclusive Transition Education and Employment now, CITY, with the UW-Whitewater. And CITY has a number of different grants, and they work with professors on campus with grants and other relationships across campus and with the community. And then again, we work with Career and Leadership Development and make sure that our students know what they're doing. And we get that information out and encourage our students to participate in the various job fairs and such. So our services, again, I said we're a service provider for DVR, Division of Voc Rehab in Wisconsin. We support students with disabilities beyond what Career and Leadership can provide a little bit, and that's that one-to-one. We promote hiring of people with disabilities, and we just received a grant with the Explore Work project, and that's from Employment First Wisconsin. That's going to be youth in the surrounding communities, and we're going to be doing a job fair, and that's probably going to happen next fall.
So this is some data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics about individuals with disabilities in the labor force, and this is from 2019. So half of all the people with a disability are over age 65, and people with a disability are more likely to be employed part-time than those without a disability. However, both groups have seen equal proportions employed in government. There's a larger proportion of workers with a disability who are self-employed than those without a disability. And overall, people with a disability experience lower rates of employment and greater rates of unemployment than those without a disability. And this is a slide about Employment First Wisconsin, a report they did that was kind of a collection of data from numerous other reports. And it highlights the importance of including individuals with disabilities in the workforce. So it's important to note that over 75% of individuals with disabilities are unemployed or underemployed and would rather be working more. So hiring individuals with disabilities is a good return on investment, and these points really illustrate that. So the turnover rate for individuals with disabilities is only 8% compared to 45% for other workers. They have nearly identical job performance ratings between people with disabilities and those without disabilities. The amount of supervision needed is similar for both groups of individuals. And 87% of customers said that they prefer companies that hire individuals with disabilities. And one last point on hiring people with disabilities is that it helps the economy in several ways. So first off, if individuals are working, they become taxpayers, and they may become less reliant on public benefits as they're getting their own paycheck. And as they're getting their own paycheck, they'll have more money to spend in the local communities.
Okay, so now to speak on more benefits of hiring individuals with disabilities. It can help companies be more successful. They can continue to be competitive and stay ahead of their competitors. To be a competitive business, it's important to acquire top talent, as employees are a company's greatest asset. Happy employees equal happy customers, which lead to more profitability. A great way to obtain qualified candidates is to utilize one of the largest untapped labor pools, which is individuals with disabilities. Some key points are that they're a great source of candidates. Again, marketable equals competitive. And again, they are very talented, unutilized tap pool of candidates. Okay. By using this pool, businesses will find themselves a more productive workplace, drive innovation and new perspectives. They can improve their bottom line, which can lead again to more profitability. They can help tap powerful market segments and gain new customers. They can enhance overall morale and job turnover within the organization. Like Linnea said, it can help qualify for tax breaks and other incentives. And they can seem more marketable to other candidates and customers. So then we do have a video of a company that embodies all of these.
I'm Mark Wafer. I'm a Tim Horton franchisee in Scarborough, Ontario. So we've been in business for 21 years, and when we first started in business, we opened a Tim Hortons location that was an existing location, very busy, and the person who applied was a man who has Down syndrome. And that individual became our best employee. And so as our business grew, we continued to hire people who have intellectual disabilities, and I started to see a pattern. People with disabilities were working in a more safe manner. They weren't calling in sick. They required less supervision. They were more innovative. And they stayed on a job much longer, so my turnover rate was much lower. And so over the last 21 years, my wife and I have employed 135 people with disabilities, all in meaningful and competitively paid positions in every aspect of the business, from production to logistics to entry level, right up to management. The benefits to being an inclusive employer are clear and they are huge. I have a much higher safety rating. With 135 people with disabilities hired over the last 21 years, I've never filled out a single WSIB claim for a person with a disability ever. I have much lower turnover. In fact, my turnover rate for the last 10 years has averaged under 40%, when the norm for the quick service sector is about 100 to 125%. You put that into dollars and cents. It costs about $4,000 to replace the person who served you your coffee this morning. But my turnover rate for my non-disabled employees is 55%. That's still half the norm, because even people who don't have a disability want to work in an inclusive environment. It changes the morale and the culture of the workplace by being an inclusive employer. And my message to employers is, don't keep trying to get ready. There's no such thing as being ready. Just do it. You won't regret it.
Okay, so by using this pool, businesses can find themselves a more productive workforce. They can drive new perspectives. They can improve their bottom line, which entails being more profitable. They can help tap powerful market segments and gain new customers. They can enhance overall morale of the organization and decrease job turnover. They can help qualify for tax breaks and other incentives. And again, seem marketable to other candidates and customers. So a great resource is the Society of Human Resource Management. They actually have tools and more information by utilizing this untapped pool. Why is it one of the largest untapped pools? Well, most businesses struggle creating disability inclusive workplaces as they do not know where to start. Here are some ways businesses can do this.
Resources for recruiting individuals with disabilities. Employment Connections and City. You can reach out to us for internship opportunities, any hiring opportunities. We can share this with our students. We can share this with students in specific majors. We've had individuals getting hired even during this COVID-19 pandemic, and we've been getting a lot of work experiences also with employers for DVR consumers. Other resources for recruiting: school counselors at high schools, disability services offices at colleges and universities, connecting with them. And most career offices do not have direct access to the students with disabilities, but the Disability Services Office do. So if they have any TV screens, they can post opportunities. With Employment Connections, we've also done lunch and learns and had employers come to campus prior to COVID, where they would present on their various internships and opportunities to students. There's also Division of Voc Rehab Business Services. Now this is Wisconsin. I'm sure many other states have something similar, but you can reach directly out to your state Voc agency, Voc Rehab agency, and connect with them and let them know that you have opportunities. So this is Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development and DVR Business Services. So they have a lot of various information for businesses and how to connect with, and this is connecting specifically with individuals with disabilities across the state. There's also the Workforce Recruitment Program. That is a federal program that reaches out to universities and colleges across the states every fall, and they interview individuals and get them set up in a database. And so mainly government agencies have access to that database, but also private employers can get access to these individuals. And these again are for internships and regular employment following their graduation. So, and this is the workforce recruitment page. So you can just do a Google on workforce recruitment program and learn about that. That is another great resource. Local supported employment agencies across the state, in your state, all states have very supported employment agencies with individuals working out in the community. Your job centers, your state job center is another resource for connecting, because for example, in Wisconsin, our DVR, part of their plan is to, the consumers do get on the Wisconsin Job Center, or Job Center of Wisconsin. There's also the National Business and Disability Council, and then there's various employment agencies or job boards. Vendor Consulting Services is mainly on the East Coast, but they do a lot of virtual career fairs every year. Ability Links, Getting Hired, Source Abled. Strategies and best practices for recruiting individuals with disabilities. And Disability In is a national nonprofit. So they have a disability equity index, and there's also state chapters that you can join, and they have a Disability In also, and the state chapters, there's a lot of resources for hiring and recruiting and just supporting individuals with disabilities. So the Disability Equity Index, it's a benchmarking tool for disability inclusion. So if you're an employer that hires individuals with disabilities and takes pride in that, you may take the Disability Equality Index, and that's something then that would be posted on your website or with your business. There's also mentorship programs. You could start a mentorship program. Old National has an achievability program, Old National Bank, and we currently have 2 students that are participating in that program. So 2 students that have a mentor from Old National that they meet monthly. Right now, probably maybe more virtual versus in person, and they mentor that student. And it's also a great way for students to network too. Job Accommodation Network is a great resource. It's been around for a very long time, and that's a great resource for employers, individuals, You can find information on how to potentially accommodate somebody with a specific disability. Just do remember that everything that might be written does not apply to everyone. Everyone is still an individual. So there's an A to Z index, and on that A to Z index, you can look things up by specific disability, and that's not taking me there, but anyway, there's an accommodation search. So just a great resource. You can also call them. They are very responsive via phone if you have specific questions on how to support somebody, or if you have questions and just on your business and what to do maybe if an employee has a concern and you don't know the answer. So great resource. There's also EARN, the Employer Assistance and Resource Network on Inclusion. Great Lakes ADA Center. You can create an employee resource group. I would highly recommend, though, for EARN and the Great Lakes ADA Center and a number of other things, even Jan, there's a number of, you should get on their listserv so you can receive various webinars that they do on employing individuals with disabilities and such.
So as Jordan mentioned, employee resource groups, they're groups within the organization. They're focused on increasing inclusiveness. They're voluntary, so employees volunteer for these groups, and they're led by the employees. These groups help foster to increase diverse and inclusive workplaces aligned with the organization's mission and values, and overall ensure communication within the organization. They help create new ideas and bringing the organization closer. So Disability In actually on their website has some information about employee resource groups and business resource groups. This is a great resource. And then starting a disability resource group. This can help businesses understand more about what employee resource groups are.
So transitioning into self-identifying, just a brief introduction on what that is. That's when an individual with a disability indicates on a job application that they have a disability. So there's a little bit of fear and confusion mixed in with this that impacts how likely an individual is to self-identify on a job application. So first, an individual might not self-identify because they might fear that they will be fired from their job or not even hired in the first place due to their disability. They might fear losing their healthcare benefits, and they might also fear having limited opportunities for advancement or promotions once they do get a job. Another factor is an individual might not consider themselves as someone with a disability, especially if the wording on a job application isn't inclusive of the broad range of disabilities an individual might have, or if the individual does not think that their disability impacts their ability to work. So to continue about the risk of having unclear wording on a job application regarding self-identifying, an individual might think that they are being asked to disclose their disability, which is not the same thing as self-identifying. Self-identifying is a confidential data collection process, whereas disclosure is a means to obtain reasonable accommodations in the workplace. So again, an individual might be worried that if they identify as somebody with a disability, they might worry that their employer might solely focus on their disability and that they will be treated or viewed differently in the workplace. And if the individual does not understand that self-identifying is confidential and anonymous, they might choose to withhold that information to protect their privacy. So ultimately, if an application is unclear as to why it is asking for an individual to self-identify in the first place, it means that that individuals with disabilities are going to be less likely to identify in the first place. So after this next slide, I'll discuss more about how employers can improve and encourage self-identifying. So like we talked about before, the Disability Equality Index is a benchmark for employers to take and just kind of use and see how they are working for inclusion for individuals with disabilities in the workplace. So in 2019, this report found that 92% of businesses encourage employees with a disability to self-identify, and 95% of those have a confidential reporting process in place. But however, only 3.7% of the DEI participants' employees actually disclose their disability to their employer at any point. So these are some best practices to keep in mind when encouraging self-identification in your business. So first, include disability in your diversity statements. Individuals with disabilities like to know that they are applying at an inclusive and welcoming environment. Next, make sure to explain that self-identification data is used to improve representation of people with disabilities within your company. And make sure to really highlight that it's voluntary, it's requested of all employees, and the information is kept anonymous. And you can also note that it helps employers improve disability inclusion efforts, and it helps you provide appropriate supports and accommodations in your workplace. Lastly, make sure that you communicate the procedures for hiring and advancements in your company in a way that emphasizes fairness and a level playing field for all individuals. If you would like more information on this topic, Disability In is a really great resource for this as well.
So again, in general resources, JAN, the Job Accommodation Network, excellent resource. Office of Disability Employment Policy, that's a federal resource. EARN, Great Lakes ADA Center, Disability In, which we've said a number of times, and you can join your local chapter, or you join the national chapter, or both. In Wisconsin, we have the Wisconsin Board for People with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, also Association for People Supporting Employment First, or APSE, that's supported employment. A number of resources, and by contacting any of those resources, obviously you may learn of other resources that might be available. So we have a number of references as we use their material, and thank you. You can reach out to us if you want to connect to any UW-Whitewater students directly for employment opportunities or internships. You can contact myself, Georgie Ann, with Employment Connections Undercity at UW-Whitewater. We hope that the information we provided you is helpful and useful. We utilize all of those resources often. So again, thank you very much.